Remember the 2000s? That glorious, chaotic era of flip phones, questionable fashion, and tabloid headlines that seemed cooked up in a fever dream. But what if the real stories were even weirder than what the magazines were printing? What if the pop star whose poster was taped to your wall wasn't even real? As the internet started to take over, forums and primitive blogs became the perfect breeding ground for some truly wild conspiracy theories. And who was at the center of it all? The biggest celebrities on the planet, of course. Today, we're journeying back to the dawn of the new millennium to explore the strangest celebrity conspiracies that just won't die. We're talking pop princesses being replaced by lookalikes and rappers fighting secret societies. We'll lay out the so-called evidence that believers still swear by, and then we'll get real about the facts. So, prepare to question everything you thought you knew about the icons of the 2000s. Let's get into it. Section 1. The strange case of Avril Lavigne and Melissa. First up, let's head back to 2003. Pop punk was king, and Avril Lavigne was its undisputed queen. With her baggy pants, neckties, and anthems like Complicated, she was the icon for every teen who felt misunderstood. But according to one of the internet's most legendary conspiracies, the Avril we all loved never made it past her first album. The theory, which really blew up on a Brazilian blog around 2011, claims that the original Avril, overwhelmed by fame and grieving the death of her grandfather, tragically died in 2003. Her record label, desperate to keep its money-making machine going, made a shocking move. They secretly replaced her with a body double named Melissa Vandella. The proof is built on years of side-by-side photo comparisons that have flooded the internet. Believers point to what they see as undeniable changes in Avril's appearance. They swear her nose shape is different, that her freckles and moles moved around, and that her whole face just changed after 2003. Was it simply a case of growing up and discovering better makeup, or was it a full-on doppelganger situation? It wasn't just about her looks either. Theorists claim the post-2003 Avril was a completely different person. The punk rock tomboy who hated the pop machine was suddenly gone. In her place was a glossier, mainstream artist who dyed her hair blonde, wore pink, and gave us bubblegum hits like Girlfriend. They argue this wasn't just artistic evolution, it was a different person's personality peeking through. The most dedicated believers even claim to have found secret messages. They pick apart her later lyrics, insisting they are guilt-ridden confessions from Melissa, the imposter. Lines about hiding behind a mask or losing yourself aren't just metaphors, they're literal cries for help. Even the name Melissa is supposedly hidden in plain sight in old photo shoots, if you just know where to look. So, is any of this true? In a word, nope. The theory has been thoroughly debunked as an internet hoax. The evidence falls apart pretty quickly. People's appearances change over 2 decades. It's called aging. Professional makeup, lighting, and camera angles can explain all the supposed facial differences. And an artist changing her style from a rebellious teen to a woman in her 20s and 30s is, completely normal. Avril Lavigne herself has repeatedly shut down the theory, calling it so dumb and weird. By all credible accounts, she is still the one and only skater girl. The Melissa theory is just a fascinating example of how an online rumor can take on a life of its own. Section 2. Eminem. Clone, android, or Illuminati survivor. If you thought a secret replacement was weird, just wait. Next up is the rapper who supposedly declared war on a secret society and paid the ultimate price. Marshall Mathers, aka Eminem, is a living legend. But according to a theory that just won't quit, the Eminem we see today is a replacement. The story starts around 2005. After his album Encore, Eminem dropped out of the spotlight, citing exhaustion and addiction. When he came back years later with 2009's Relapse, some fans felt something was off. This is where the conspiracy kicks into high gear. Theorists claim that during his break, the real Eminem was either killed by the Illuminati for refusing to follow their orders or was replaced with a more obedient clone. Once again, the evidence is all about perceived changes. Believers have spent years analyzing his facial features, insisting his jawline and even his ears look different. But the most cited proof is the change in his voice. They argue that the post-hiatus Eminem has a deeper, almost robotic tone, a huge shift from the frantic, high-pitched delivery of his early work. His lyrics changed too, becoming more technical and less comically shocking. To the theorists, this wasn't artistic growth, it was a bad impression of the original. Maybe the most bizarre piece of evidence comes from a 2013 live TV interview where Eminem seems to glitch. For a few seconds, his eyes go wide and blank as if he's rebooting. Believers say it was a malfunction in his Android programming. Was it a simple brain freeze on live television or a crack in the matrix? The Eminem theory is also tied up in the larger Illuminati narrative. In this version of events, the original Eminem was a rebel who was about to expose the secret society's control over the music industry. For that, he was silenced and replaced. This story paints him as a fallen hero in a secret war, which makes the theory especially appealing to his die-hard fans. Of course, there's no actual evidence to support any of this. Changes in his face can be explained by age, weight changes, and his very public battle with and recovery from addiction. An artist's voice changing over decades of performing is completely natural. And the glitch? It looks a lot more like a moment of social anxiety than a robotic malfunction. The Eminem clone theory is a powerful myth, but it's built on pure speculation. Alright, we're about to head even further down the rabbit hole, where things get even more unbelievable. But before we do, I have to ask, which one of these theories do you think is the most convincing? Is there a piece of evidence we missed that makes you think twice? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read them all, and we genuinely want to know what you think. Now, back to the madness. Section 3. The double conspiracy of Britney Spears. You can't talk about the 2000s without talking about Britney Spears. From her explosive debut to her very public struggles, she was the center of the pop culture universe. So naturally, she's at the heart of not one, but two of the decade's wildest conspiracies. The first is a classic replacement theory with a tragic twist. This story claims that around 1999, Britney and her then-boyfriend, Justin Timberlake, were in a terrible car accident. In this telling, Justin was left in a coma, and Britney was killed. Her record label, facing the loss of its biggest star, supposedly activated a clone to take her place. Some versions even say the Justin Timberlake we know today is also a clone. This outlandish rumor, which some say was started by a couple of radio DJs as a publicity stunt, absolutely took off in the darker corners of the internet. But the whole idea is pure fantasy. There was never any credible report of such an accident, and the science of human cloning was, and still is, nowhere near capable of creating a perfect adult replacement. The second, and honestly more creative, conspiracy theory casts Britney as a political weapon. This theory alleges that Britney Spears was secretly working for the George W. Bush administration. The idea is that whenever the White House had a PR crisis, like the Iraq War, Britney's team would create a personal meltdown to distract the public and dominate the news. Think about it, they say. Her 55-hour Las Vegas marriage, her chaotic life with Kevin Federline, the infamous head-shaving incident, each of these moments created a media firestorm that drowned out almost everything else. Was it just the chaotic life of a superstar under crushing pressure, or a series of calculated distractions deployed by the government? Theorists point to the suspiciously convenient timing of her personal crises lining up with major political events. This theory turns Britney from a pop star into a pawn in a global chess game. It's a fascinating narrative, but it's completely baseless. There is zero evidence linking Britney or her team to the Bush White House. The simpler explanation is that the 24/7 news cycle and hungry tabloid culture were just more interested in a celebrity scandal than in complicated political news. Britney wasn't a distraction deployed by the government, she was just way more interesting to the media. Section 4. Beyoncé and the case of the collapsing bump. When you think of 21st century superstars, you think of Beyoncé. She's known for having meticulous control over her image. But in 2011, that carefully built image was challenged by one of the most viral conspiracies ever: the claim that she faked her first pregnancy. In August 2011, Beyoncé gave us that iconic pregnancy reveal at the MTV VMAs. The world was overjoyed, but things took a weird turn 2 months later. During an interview on the Australian show Sunday Night, Beyoncé sat down, and as she leaned forward, her baby bump seemed to fold in on itself. The clip went viral instantly. For conspiracy theorists, this was the smoking gun. It was proof she was wearing a prosthetic belly. The theory claims that for some reason, maybe to avoid the physical toll of pregnancy or due to fertility issues, Beyoncé and Jay-Z hired a surrogate. To keep up appearances, Beyoncé supposedly wore a fake stomach, and the collapsing bump was the moment the secret was accidentally revealed. Believers started digging, pointing to inconsistencies in the size of her bump in photos and conflicting reports about her due date as more evidence of a massive cover-up. So, what really happened on that Australian talk show? The most logical explanation is a lot less dramatic. It was the dress. The fabric of her dress simply creased and bunched up in a weird way when she sat down, creating an optical illusion. Fashion experts and doctors have all said the same thing. Beyoncé herself has called the rumors crazy and ridiculous. In her documentary, Life is But a Dream, she included intimate footage of her very real, very pregnant belly, which seemed like a direct clapback to the theorists. Despite this, the theory still lingers. It's a perfect example of how in the age of social media, one out-of-context clip can create a global conspiracy. Section 5. The All-Seeing Eye, the Illuminati's control of the 2000s. Floating above all these individual theories is the one conspiracy to rule them all, the idea that the Illuminati controls the entire entertainment industry. This wasn't a new idea in the 2000s, but it was the decade it went mainstream, with nearly every major star being accused of joining a secret society hell-bent on world domination. The theory goes that a modern-day version of the historical Bavarian Illuminati, a real but short-lived group from the 1700s, secretly runs the world. This shadowy group allegedly controls everything: finance, politics, and especially the media. In this world, celebrities are just puppets, promoted to push the Illuminati's agenda of a new world order. In the 2000s, artists like Jay-Z, Beyoncé, Rihanna, and Kanye West were all labeled as high-ranking members. The evidence is all about symbolism. Theorists claim these artists constantly flash Illuminati signs, like the all-seeing eye, the number 666, and various hand gestures, especially the triangle. For example, Jay-Z famously used a triangle hand sign as the logo for his label, Rockefeller Records. He said it was a diamond. Conspiracy theorists say it's an obvious tribute to the Illuminati pyramid. His lyrics about power and influence are seen as confessions of his role in the secret order. Music videos from that era were dissected for any hint of occult imagery, from goat heads to pentagrams, all supposedly proving allegiance. The theory even offers a sinister explanation for fame itself. An artist's sudden success isn't because of talent, it's because they sold their soul. And if a star falls from grace or dies unexpectedly, well, they must have tried to leave the group or expose its secrets. It's a tidy, if terrifying, way to explain the chaos of celebrity life. The truth is much more boring. The historical Illuminati has no connection to modern Hollywood. The symbols are almost always misinterpreted. The all-seeing eye has been a symbol of divine presence in many cultures for centuries. And the hand gestures? Sometimes a triangle is just a logo for a record label. While the idea of a secret society pulling the strings is juicy, there is no real proof it exists. The theory feeds on our distrust of power and our need to find patterns in the chaos. Conclusion. From Avril's doppelganger and Eminem's clone to Britney's secret government work and Beyoncé's phantom pregnancy, the 2000s truly were a golden age for celebrity conspiracies. Powered by the rise of social media, these theories burrowed into our collective brain and have refused to leave ever since. These tales are digital ghost stories, whispered in forums and shared through grainy clips. They probably reveal more about our own suspicions and our fascination with fame than they do about the celebrities themselves. But whether you believe them or not, you have to admit, they make the world a lot more interesting. If you enjoyed this trip down the rabbit hole, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another video. We've got more content just like this coming your way. Thanks for watching.